At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome to our deep dive into the future of cybersecurity.
Oh, cool.
Let's imagine you're at a big cybersecurity conference in Madrid in 2025.
Yeah.
And everyone's buzzing about this new thing called SASE, Secure Access Service Edge.
Okay.
And it's all about how we protect data now that everything's moving to the cloud.
Makes sense.
So we're going to dive into what SASE is and why it matters to you.
Sounds good.
The big idea here is that security is changing big time.
Yeah.
It's like we used to think about security as protecting a castle with walls and moats.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's more like the walls are dissolving because our data is everywhere.
It's in the cloud.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So this deep dive, we've got some really interesting insights.
Oh, cool.
From Deloitte,
okay,
a major SaaS provider called Net Scope.
I've heard of them.
And a data optimization company called ONU.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Deloitte's really pushing companies to ditch that old castle mentality.
I like that analogy.
And embrace this cloud-based approach to security.
Yeah, that seems to be the way things are going.
And they're really walking the walk.
Oh, yeah.
They've got over 1,000 professionals just focused on cybersecurity.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So they're taking it seriously.
They definitely are.
It makes sense, though.
Why do you say that?
Well, the sources we've got are all saying the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Cyberattacks are going to skyrocket by 2025.
Yeah.
Driven by AI and the fact that ransomware is just so profitable.
It's scary stuff.
Yeah, it is. We're already seeing over 250 organized cybercrime groups out there.
Really?
Yeah, in 2025.
So this isn't some far-off problem.
No, it's happening now.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
So how do we fight back against all this?
Well, SASE is a big part of the solution.
Right.
And Netscope is a leader in that space.
What makes them different?
Well, they've been focused on this data-centric security for over a decade.
Wow.
Even before anyone was calling it SASE.
That's impressive.
Yeah, they really saw this coming.
So what's their secret sauce?
Basically, they've figured out how to decipher web traffic in real time.
Real time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Using machine learning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they can identify and control sensitive data as it's moving around.
I see.
It's not just about blocking threats anymore. It's about understanding the context of the data.
A context.
Yeah.
How does that work in practice?
Well, so they do these proof of value trials with companies.
Okay.
And they almost always find security gaps.
Really?
Yeah, they found one company that was accidentally giving open access to their most sensitive data.
Oh, wow. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, and it's more common than you think.
That's unnerving.
Yeah, it is.
So that's where SAC comes in.
Exactly.
It's about preventing those kinds of situations.
It's about consolidation, too.
Consolidation?
Yeah, bringing all your security tools together.
Ah, so you don't have a bunch of different systems.
Right.
That's got to save money.
It does. SaaS is very cost efficient. We'll take SD-WAN, for example.
Right.
It's a key technology within SASE.
Yeah?
And it basically optimizes your network traffic.
So you're not wasting bandwidth.
Exactly.
And that saves money.
Yeah, it can be a big cost saver.
So SASE is about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, it applies to access control, too.
Oh, right. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, with zero trust network access.
Where you have to verify who you are every time you connect.
Oh, it's a big shift from those old VPNs.
Yeah, where anyone inside the network could basically do whatever they wanted.
It's kind of like what happened with email.
Oh, so...
We used to have those on-premise email servers that were a pain to manage.
Yeah.
But then we moved to the cloud with things like Gmail.
And everything got so much easier.
And more secure.
Yeah.
SASE is doing the same thing for network security.
Moving it to the cloud.
Exactly.
So with SASE's constantly earned.
Right.
Not just granted.
Makes sense.
But what about all the data we're generating? It's a fire hose.
Yeah.
How do we even manage all that data?
It's a huge challenge.
Especially if we want to use it for security.
And for business decisions.
Right. It's not just about protection anymore.
Yeah, very
data is a gold mine.
If you know how to use it, that's where ONUM comes in.
Tell me more about them.
Well, they specialize in streamlining data flow.
Okay.
So they make sure only the most relevant information gets to the right people.
Ah, So they help you cut through the noise?
And they've got a great track record.
Oh, yeah.
They've helped clients reduce data volume and cost by over 50%.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, they're really good at what they do.
So they're like data whisperers.
I like that analogy.
They help you understand your data.
Exactly.
But speed must be a factor, too.
Absolutely.
Especially with these AI-powered cyber attacks.
ONUM can process data incredibly fast.
How fast?
Under 5 milliseconds.
5 milliseconds?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's crucial for staying ahead of the bad guys.
So we've got SASE for a strong security framework.
Right.
And we've got ONUM to help us make sense of all this data.
It's a powerful combination.
Yeah, it seems like the future of cybersecurity is all about these two things.
I think so.
It's exciting and a little bit scary.
Definitely.
But hey, that's the world we live in.
That's true.
So we've got to adapt and evolve.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next part of our deep dive.
We'll see how SaaS and data optimization are being used in the real world.
And how they're giving companies a real competitive edge.
So stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive into cybersecurity. In 2025, last time we were talking about how data can be a strategic advantage, not just a source of potential threats.
Yeah, it's not just about protecting yourself anymore. It's about using data to make smarter decisions.
Right, like anticipating challenges before they even become problems.
Exactly. Data can be a real game changer if you know how to use it.
We also spent a lot of time talking about SASE and that whole transition from VPNs to zero trust network access.
Yeah, that's a big shift in how we think about security.
It is. It's like a whole new way of looking at things.
Sometimes it helps to think about how other technologies have evolved.
To see the bigger picture.
Yeah, like remember those old on-premise email server?
Oh yeah, those were a nightmare.
We needed a whole IT team just to keep them running.
And don't even get me started on security breaches.
Right, it was a constant headache.
And then cloud-based email came along.
Like Gmail.
Suddenly everything got so much easier.
Then more secure.
Yeah, all those headaches just vanished.
SASE is kind of doing the same thing for network security.
Taking all that complexity and moving it to the cloud.
Exactly. It's like a weight off your shoulders.
So you're saying SASE is the Gmail of network security.
I like that analogy.
But I bet it comes with a hefty price tag, right?
That's what a lot of people think.
Can smaller companies even afford this?
Actually, SASE can save you money in the long run.
Really? How so?
Well, remember the security gaps that Net Scope found during their trials?
Yeah, where companies were accidentally exposing sensitive data.
Those kinds of vulnerabilities can lead to breaches.
And breaches are expensive.
Incredibly expensive, both financially and in terms of your reputation.
Yeah, a data breach can ruin a company.
Exactly. So SASE helps you avoid those costly incidents.
By proactively securing your data.
And by streamlining your security tools so you're not wasting money on a bunch of different systems.
Plus, we talked about SD-WAN and how it optimizes network traffic.
Yeah, that can lead to significant cost savings.
So it's about being smarter with your resources.
Exactly, and being proactive instead of reactive.
That's got to be a winning strategy in cybersecurity.
Especially with these AI-powered attacks that are coming our way.
Okay, I'm convinced SASE is something businesses need to take seriously.
It's the future of network security.
But what about the data itself?
All that information we're generating.
It's a fire hose.
How do we make sure we're not drowning in it?
That's where ONUM comes in, right?
They're the data whisperers.
I love that term.
They help you tame the data beast.
But how do they actually do that?
They use AI and machine learning.
Of course.
To analyze data in real time.
So they can spot threats before they cause damage.
Exactly. They're like a super smart assistant constantly scanning your data for anything suspicious.
So it's like an early warning system for cyber threats?
But it's also a tool for understanding your data better.
So you can use it to make better business decisions.
Exactly. ONUM helps you stay ahead of the curve on both fronts.
But how can they keep up with all that data?
It's a lot to process. Remember their incredible processing speed.
Yeah, they can analyze data in under 5 milliseconds.
It's mind-boggling.
Like a cybersecurity ninja.
Exactly. They're moving so fast we can barely see them.
And that speed translates into real benefits.
Faster threat response, minimized damage, smoother business operations.
So we've got a strong, flexible security framework with SaaS.
Right.
And we've got ONUM helping us make sense of all this data.
It's a powerful combination.
It really seems like the future of cybersecurity hinges on these two technologies.
I think so. And in the final part of our deep dive,
we're going to see how it's all playing out in the real world.
We'll look at some companies that are using SaaS and data optimization to transform their businesses.
And gain a real competitive edge.
So stay tuned for the exciting conclusion of our deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive. I know it's been pretty fascinating talking about all this future tech.
Yeah, we've gone from dissolving castles to, like, data whisperers.
It's a lot to take in, but now I want to see how it's all actually playing out.
Right, like how are companies using SaaS and data optimization in the real world?
Exactly. Are they really living up to the hype?
That's what we're going to find out today.
I love a good success story.
Well, we've got a few good ones.
Okay, let's hear them.
So first, let's talk about a company that's using SaaS to secure a remote workforce.
Oh, yeah, that became a huge issue during the pandemic.
It did. Companies had to adapt so quickly to remote work.
And security was a major concern.
It was this company we talked to, a global marketing firm.
Mm-hmm.
They had employees all over the world.
Accessing sensitive data from who knows where?
Exactly. It was a recipe for disaster.
So how did they solve it?
They implemented SaaS.
And that helped them manage all those remote workers.
It gave them really granular control over user access, no matter where the employee was or what device they were using.
So like a centralized security hub?
Exactly. They could enforce policies, monitor activity, protect data, all from one platform.
That's got to be a relief for IT teams.
It is. It takes a lot of the stress out of managing security.
And I bet it improves network performance, too.
It does. No more clunky VPNs slowing everyone down.
So it's a win-win, better security and better performance.
Exactly.
But is this only for big companies with big budgets?
Nope, not at all. We also spoke to a small software startup, and they were struggling to manage their own security.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a lot for a small team to handle.
It is. Keeping up with all the latest threats and security updates is a full-time job.
And they probably didn't have the resources for that.
Exactly. They were spending way too much time and money on things that weren't core to their business.
So they turned to SaaS.
They did, and it was a game changer for them.
How so?
They were able to offload a lot of that security burden to the cloud.
Ah, so they could focus on what they do best, which is developing software.
Exactly. And because SaaS is usually subscription-based, they could afford enterprise-grade security even on a startup budget.
That's amazing. It's like leveling the playing field?
It is. It gives smaller companies access to the same level of security as the big guys.
I'm really starting to see the appeal of SaaS.
It's the future of security.
So we've talked about SaaS. Now let's talk about data optimization.
Okay.
We heard from a retail company that was drowning in customer data.
Oh, yeah. I can relate to that.
Everyone's collecting so much data these days.
It's a goldmine, but it can also be a burden.
This company knew they had valuable insights hidden in all that data.
But they couldn't access them.
It's just too much to process.
Right. They needed a way to make sense of it all.
So what did they do?
They partnered with a data optimization company.
And that helped them unlock the value of their data.
It did. They were able to streamline their data pipelines, clean up their data, and build a really robust analytics platform.
So they can finally see the patterns and trends.
Exactly. And they use those insights to personalize their marketing, optimize pricing, all sorts of things.
So they turned their data into a competitive advantage.
Exactly. They went from drowning in data to swimming in insights.
That's a great way to put it.
I think these success stories really show the power of SaaS and data optimization.
Yeah, they're not just buzzwords. They're practical solutions that are already making a difference.
And as we move further into this digital world, they're only going to become more important.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
Embrace the cloud.
That old castle and moat mentality just doesn't cut it anymore.
Data is everywhere, and we need a security framework that can keep up.
So ditch the castle and move to the cloud.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of data.
It's not just a liability, it's a valuable asset.
Invest in data optimization so you can turn that data into a competitive advantage.
It's about using data as a tool for growth and innovation.
And lastly, stay curious, stay informed.
The world of cybersecurity is constantly changing.
So keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep pushing the boundaries.
It's been a fantastic deep dive. I've learned so much.
Me too. It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, we leave you with this thought.
In a world where data is king, how will you use it to build a safer, smarter, and more successful future?
That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us.